Welcome to episode 15 of Enmity Podcasting. Tonight we're being brought to you by ultrasabers.com, which is dueling lightsabers. Really awesome. You can pick them up. Go to our website at ultrasabers.com. It's located at the very top of our website where it says Ultrasabers. Should be easy to find. Tonight we have a great episode to you, and before we get started, we have me, Raging Rondo, and Big Rekuff, Big as we call him, our resident
Yep.
millionaire. Yeah, and with his how's it going? And tonight we are bringing back a voice from the past from our some of our first podcasts. Maisa is back. He's a little tired. It's past his bedtime, but say hello, Maisa.
How's everybody doing?
It's good to have you back.
Yeah, it's good to have the
It's
voice of
good to
reason
be back.
back on. We've been crazy since you've
Really
been gone.
sad reason.
Well, tonight we have a really interesting topic that we want to go over with everybody. It's something that Big kind of brought up to me last night with good old Jolly Cheer while we were just having conversations about nothing and everything and just good times whatsoever. You all know how vent conversations or mumble conversations go. Things just arise sometimes. And he had said, uh, well, what if they just allowed player created content into the Galactic Starfighter instead of worrying about coming up with PvE themselves? So basically, it would be us coming up with the content with a dev tool. How'd you come up with this, Big? I mean,
Well, came to me kind of when I was sitting there waiting about 20 minutes for each of the queue for the GSF. It was late night, and I'm still not the best, and the tutorial mission's not the greatest. So, I just really wanted to get some missions knocked out and get some good piloting in there. And it just came to me, if they had PvE, it'd be kind of it'd give us something to do in the meantime, waiting for queues and everything. And they said that they have no real plans for it, and I can understand, trying to develop a bunch of maps and stuff like that, and kind of fix the bugs and stuff. It could take a lot of development time that they could put into raids and PvP, ground PvP maps as well. So, why not let us as the community try and develop some maps into it? They could just spend a little bit of time, give us some development tools, and like you said, and just give it to the community. I mean, I think we'd all have a blast with it.
yeah, and I think instantly I was on board with you with when I heard this. When you had mentioned this, it took me back to something that Neverwinter did, and they gave us what was called the Foundry. And in the Foundry, we were given tools to set up our own to set up our own sort of PVE lore based or unlore based, like instances that we could then send off to everybody. So I agree with you, man. This is a great idea because not only do they not have to worry about it, it allows for developing the game in a way that nobody ever thought before, um, and that is setting up events now and setting up timed runs, setting up. Oh no, we all want to do the Kessler run. What if we set up our own Kessler run, right?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be pretty cool. I mean, and they could do it quite simply at first. Just give us like 10 different, actual objects, like rocks of different sizes, maybe some sort of floating debris of some sort that's a little bit different visually. And just the turrets, that would be the main focus of the PvE portion, is just trying to kill the turrets. And so, with your idea of setting up the actual Kelso run and being able to do that, you could have it so there's a certain turret at the end of the map that, when you kill that only turret of the map, but you can only get there through running it, it would stop the countdown time, and that way you could clock it as, who can run the Kelso run in the fastest. And you get to set up some pretty epic battles of having like a certain array of turrets there that you have to attack from different angles with your your group of three other buddies in there to try and attack this elaborate of turrets, and see who can get it the time the fastest. Or I think what you were saying about setting up a little Death Star run that you have to try and run
Yeah.
before the it blows up or blows your ship up.
Yeah, I mean, Maisa, would you be interested in something like this? I know maybe not developing it, but just being able to log on and say, I kind of want to go and do something interesting that that maybe somebody created for us.
Well, I mean, the big thing is just the community alone. For example, like our GM or one of your fellow panel members is just obsessed with this right now. And the one downfall he says is just like, I mean, it's the same map basically with just different terrain. And when you give the community the power to build stuff, even if when it's something simple, like if you go back, like I don't have the mass MMO background that you guys have because this is like I said, I'm an MMO baby basically.
Right.
But and I look at like a game, for example, it's a basically simple like platformer called Trials Evolution, and they came out in one of their patches where they gave a real simple level editor, and this just blew up into this huge thing, and the community were taking the 50 simple objects that they were given and creating these crazy elaborate maps, and that's what I think they could take this opportunity, just throw up like I don't know. I mean, they have the capabilities of doing it like some form of PTR or something like that, where they have the ability to like you can go into a map or something, and then you queue up into a map and you're able to play it where you get a perspective of like it's like some people could have ideas that just pop into their head, and all of a sudden they have the next big thing because
Right.
we've been talking about it having different types of scenarios involving like the Galactic Starfighter. I know Talons went on this whole rant about how he wanted something like, for example, in the start of EV, instead of us clicking into the map, we fly our ships and
Yeah.
have to get through like the defense barriers and stuff like that. Something simple like that that they can incorporate into the next operation or something like that, where they could take something simple like big set, put up 3 turrets, throw in a few AI ships, a few floating obstacles, and then have the raid go and kill this thing. That's why we can get by and land at the raid.
Yeah, and I mean, look at other games. Well, I mean, let's forget about other games. We can bring that up here in a minute. This is what excites me about this is that we all come. This new generation of thinking is coming around with social media, right? So why wouldn't we have some sort of social media feeling in our game? And what I thought about when Big said this was instantly the ability to say upvote and downvote map, and the ability to say I really enjoyed what you did with this map. Here's 20 cartel coins. And this is where it gets interesting because this is where we can get them maybe to put this on the wall of crazy and take it off. And you attack the wallet with your thought process, right? You attack the wallet and you tell them if you have people now who are buying cartel coins just to give them away, then they start thinking this is a market we never even thought about before. This is a market where people are now buying cartel coins to give it to somebody who maybe wouldn't have bought cartel coins. And what I'm saying with that is it shows a little bit of so it gives that person some like, oh wow, I made a map and people are really enjoying it. I've got a 5-star vote on all my maps, and people are playing it. This many people are playing it. Now people are starting to give me some money for it, and that gets them to put out more content. And that, I'm sorry, is what this game needs right now for its end game is more content. And I think that this
Oh
this
yeah,
is a great way to do it.
because especially with people beyond us, well, when they do officially release it and people free to play players are able to start playing it and start actually doing the GSF at level 1, you could actually get some players in there that creates a map and don't have the actual money to play anything in the game, but people are donating them cartel coins, and they can get full access to the game eventually if their maps get popular enough, and they're able to get certain unlocks and stuff. So I mean, people could come to the game that maybe can't afford it at all and create some awesome maps that maybe certain other subscribers or other players wouldn't be able to. So you just I think it would attract even more players to the game as well.
Well, yeah, and they could.
Map
Oh,
creative tools inside the cartel market.
oh
See
yeah.
it happen if this comes out.
Oh yeah, you could and like I want to put in Star Destroyer that is attacking my ships while they're running this timed run. And so now whereas some people are just putting in rocks, you added an element of laser fire strafing you as you're going. So while you're trying to keep your speed up, you're also trying to say keep your shields up.
Oh yeah, that'd be pretty cool as well. Like having not just be able to create maps, but the actual interactive objects as well. So, like you said, you can make a little AI ship that will attack the closest person, or only go for a gunship first and the scout second. So, yeah, I mean, not just in creating maps. That's actually a pretty good idea to be able to create, the actual objects themselves that could, attack the players, or they have to defend against, or
I think there's a huge market for this. You have, and you know what? Why not jump on it? Because you have EverQuest Next. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to this, but they're also coming out with player-created content where they can buy into this like alpha phase, and the best creation is now going to go into the game. Well, they already have something out where all they have to do is take some of the development tools that they have, give us about 2%, maybe not even that, of these items, say have fun, and give us, say, 3 generic maps, and then build on it like later, because I think adding in ships that are different will allow us to do, say, like enclosed tunnels on Tatooine, where if you put down if they fly over this grid, it allows them to go faster. And then, oh, what do we have? We have speed racing. you know Let the players make it. Let the players do it, because I guarantee there are players out there who want to do this. So if you don't want to do it, give us the development tools. Let us play around with it. Let us put it out. So like Maisa said, to a PTS sort of server, so you don't have to put it into your main content at first. Let us put it into this PTS server. Let people play with it. And if they come up with maps that people are just going to, and they're going to it, and they're going to it, oh, wait a second. Let's put it in the game for real. You just let the
yeah, I
player
mean, they
do
could
what
have
you
it.
didn't want to do, or you didn't have the time to do.
Yeah, I mean, you could have it like other games where, each of your buddies can download a copy of this custom map, and then, then it shows up in your custom map, and you can all queue for it because it's basically loaded to the server, and that way they don't have to put it on the official server. If something breaks with a game, then, oh well, you're installing a custom map. It's not their fault. Just don't play that map anymore, essentially. And going back to the other games that do it, I'm going to date myself a little bit here, but even back on the original Nintendo, they had a game called Excite Bike, where, I mean, it was a real simple game that was just a bike game, a motorcycle game where it was like scrolling screen from left to right, but, half the fun when they actually had a custom map editor where you can add jumps, the speed ramps, certain cliffs where you could die and stuff, and I don't know, me and my buddies just spent hours trying to develop maps that the other person, was just so impossible that the other person couldn't beat.
Right. There's something
That's Trials
inherent.
Evolution.
Yeah, there's something inherent about being able to do this that people flock to. Because, like, look at us. Obviously, we wanted to do something for the community, so we started the podcast. There's other people who don't have that drive to start a podcast, but maybe they have the drive to do something where they can develop things, because that's where their talents lie. And I think adding something like this gives people a chance to sort of buy into a game. And that's where you keep people in the long run. You get enough people to buy into a game that they stay. And I think this has the potential to just be amazing. But I mean, let's talk downfalls of this. I mean, we're all sitting here saying you're amazing. I'm having a hard time thinking of many downfalls, but maybe just I don't know. Do you see any downfalls to this big?
No, I mean, once they do the development and set up an API or, something like that where, a little toolkit that we can use, I mean, they're setting up so little work that they're letting the community do it. They're just developing the tools and then letting us go wild with it. I mean, a lot of companies will do that, on the web and stuff like that. Well, they'll develop something and then just pass it off. I mean, it's, goes out of the realm of even just games itself. So, I mean, it's something that's accepted by many communities. Just let what companies do set up tools that you can use to do certain things with. In this case, it would be set up some tools to develop maps, and I just really can't think any downfall for them except for the initial. I mean, developing it, and if it didn't work, but I mean, I just wouldn't see why people wouldn't, think it's an awesome idea and just want to do it.
Well, yeah,
Well,
they
it is
have
an
their
awesome idea,
yeah.
but there's probably going to be, just like anything else I mean, it's been released. There's probably going to be a few problems they have to polish out, but it's when you come to like creative map creators, like you got to look at like, whether they're going to have a limit or a certain amount of like, physical objects they throw in, or whether or not someone's if they do like a third party download or something like that, whether or not each like map download's going to be legitimate, or it's not going to try and like ruin the game file or anything. Because that's happened before in many different games.
Well, yeah, and that way it could be separate assets that are, that you have to download separately, and then, like I said, maybe once a month they pick like the 2 or 3 most popular ones that, pass the debugger and don't have any issues, and make those actual official. But, for the most part, you could just download, like with Torparse, they give you the logs and you're using a third-party utility to kind of utilize it. So it could be the reverse, you're just using a utility to kind of put files there that the game's just going to grab and let you load into. I mean, a lot of games do that as well, and if it crashes, they say, oh, well, you're using a custom map. It's, we don't support it. I mean, they might have to have some development, maybe hire 1 or 2 guys to handle any, people who are developing the map, any support questions. But again, I think the benefit would outweigh the cost. I mean, if it could bring 10% more subscribers or people buying cartel coins, I think it would probably do a lot more than that. But even if it did that, I think it'd be worth it for them.
Yeah. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna put this up on the website, and when you guys watch it, go ahead and tell us what you think. Tell us if you think this is viable. Remind us of something that we forgot. I mean, let's just bring it down to this. We are playing a Star Wars game for the sheer fact that we enjoy the lore behind Star Wars. Part of that lore is flying around in a spaceship. So how can we make flying around in a spaceship as lore friendly and fun as possible? And I think doing this and then allowing people to get, say, internet fame for doing it, like this is Big's Kessler Run map, and I run it and I stream it and I do it on Twitch, and people go to Twitch to watch me do this run. I think that there's something there to now start getting a backing of people who want to support this game. And I think that's what this is all about. Let's support our game. Let's tell the devs this is an idea that we think is viable enough to really have them take a look at. Let's put it up on the wall of crazy for one, and let's tear that sucker right down, and let's get it into implementation.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely have to go over to the forums over at the sotor.com and post an idea and the suggestions, and we'll post a link to that as well so people can go over there, and if they like it, go let BioWare know so they can start implementing it for us.
I'm just curious where you guys think they're going to go next, like next game type / shit that we're possibly going to see with this, or what would you like to see? I know I'd like to see some form of maybe just a straight up team deathmatch or a capture the flag type stuff.
I would love to see a
Yeah,
capture the
definitely
flag
deathmatch.
map either in regular PvP or GSF. I would love to see something
Yeah,
like
ground
that.
PvP. Yeah, ground PvP, I could definitely see that being fun with a capture the flag, but at least give us a death match for, they added the arenas for ground PvP, so they should be able to do something like that as well for, last man standing, and where you could have certain team compositions, and
I
maybe
think
just do
that
it
the
as a 4
capture
v
the
4
flag
like
would
the
be
arena.
really viable in GSF type PvP also though too, because you could set up your gunships along the map to take out runners, and then gunships would have to watch out for gunships. Runners would have to watch out for the gunships, but you would also take out what is the other class, Maisa, that has like the big sort of like they're the bombers or and shit and whatnot.
Starfighter,
Is
I
it,
think.
I
Yeah, the
don't
bombers are
I
the
only
ones
play
that they took
gunship,
out.
so
I play Scout.
so you'd have your really fast one running in to grab the flag. You'd have your other ones bombing, say, the gunships. You'd have your gunships trying to take out. I just think there's a really good dynamic there for a capture the flag sort of game, and I would love to see that. But anyway, so moving on, we had a couple announcements, didn't we, Big? Did you want to go over some of those announcements for the podcast?
Oh yeah, one. I'm sure everyone knows that Life Day is around, and it was actually interesting. The way they timed it, actually, Life Day was dropped about an hour before the servers went down. So I was able to get on there and play around with it, and get some snapshots up there and get it up for everyone. So while they're waiting for the patch to download and actually come back online, people were able to go out, and yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. It was fun to. I kind of stayed up a bit late with a little bit of adrenaline rush with there, trying to trying to get some snowballs in and trying to take some snapshots in the same time while I'm trying to, get some early access. But I was able to get my my snowflake title, so yes, I'm a special snowflake.
So we'll go and move on to Reddit news. All right. So I thought one of the cool things is we always talk about how beautiful this game is and a lot of that they bring to the table, but people are starting to say that you miss a lot with this game if you don't look up. I think is one of the things that people were talking about. And on the Balmoran Sky, he said GSF before it was cool. One of the posts said he has a post up of GSF before it was cool because if you look up in Balmora, there are dog fights going on the entire time. And I think like there's certain things that if you don't look up, you miss it in this game. And I'm trying to think, Maisa had a few, and we always used to talk about it. We would launch off fireworks, and we'd be like, "Oh wait, that was up there. That's cool. Where did that come from?" Like
There's on the third boss at Dread Fortress, I cranked my graphics up just because we were bored waiting for while we took a bio break. And I looked up and I'm just like, oh man, this is actually like they put a lot of work into those two previous instances. And
yeah,
as when you look around, when you crank the graphics up and you just take a look around at all the small little details that they put into the background, even just like and the sky, it's a pretty nice game.
my thing
I think.
is with I don't know if anybody remembers Ilum, but for some of the players that never got to go out to Ilum when we were farming out there, I don't know if you remember when you took all the spots and then you took their base, you would have TIE fighters from hell raining down on them, man. It was amazing. I mean, you're talking seemed like thousands of fighters would come down and bomb their base. I don't know. Do you guys remember that? I mean, that was gorgeous. Absolutely breathtaking for somebody who has enjoyed the Star Wars for as long as I have.
No, I don't think I remember that.
I kind of felt like because of the snow. I kind of felt like I was um, being a traitor to Luke Skywalker. Like I was letting the Imperials come down on him.
It's just,
Like obviously not in the same time period, but
just the small details
hmm
that make the biggest Star Wars nerd cringe a little.
Yeah, I forget what other planet they said. I know it was in the I think Foundry. They said there was
the
a part
Foundry.
where I think that's the destroyer comes down and then some other Republic ships come and just swarm in and start attacking it.
Yeah, yeah. They said it was on the Foundry.
And then I don't know. Throughout the game, there's been some posts on Reddit as well, but there's some certain instances where there's a Wookiee ripping off a robot's arms, or there's
What?
a
I don't.
Wookiees
Where?
getting.
Oh man, I wish
There's
you
just
gotta look
hidden
it up.
places.
Put the comment
It's
down if
got to
you're
be
watching.
Corellia.
Yeah, if you're watching this and you know what he's talking about, go ahead and put it down because I'd love to see that.
Yeah, I think on Hutta there's something with a something else with a Wookiee. There's an R2, a golden translator droid, and basically an R2D2 looking droid somewhere else. Yeah, there's a lot of little hidden things like that throughout
I
it.
think I've
Actually,
seen one with like a Wookiee with a backpack and like it looks like he's got like a droid in it. I think like I have this weird feeling like I have seen that on
yeah, there's like he has a backpack and there's some scattered
yeah,
parts around as well.
yeah.
Um, it's kind of funny. One of my smugglers that I have is level 55. I have him set up as his name is Lando, and I went through and tried to match the best outfit that I could get. So I went through and it's like an old I think it's a Klumi set that I have for that I put him on. It's like the blue cape, and I went through and I got him like the mustache and the hair just right, and I was doing the bounty hunter event last week, and I realized that on the Narshada one for the the main guy, whatever he's called, the warlord or whatever. I was fighting him, and I realized, you know what? That's an exact clone of my Lando. So they actually put Lando as one of the bounties you have.
That's funny.
So when you get a chance, yeah, head out to Nar Shaddaa next time the event's out and do the whatever the heroic one is, and you'll be fighting Lando.
So I have an announcement myself that I know I've been talking my Pyro DPS for a while, so I've sort of had a guide in the works. It's nothing like it really isn't going to tell you the math behind why everything does everything, because honestly, I couldn't tell you the math. But I did put together my rotation. I put together why I use unload. I put together my starting rotation. I showed the my stats that I'm using. I'm working on getting some parsecs up or some parsers up, just so people can see what I'm pulling. But if you are interested in in a guide for Pyro Mercenary. I have that up on 42gaming.com now. It'll be right under this post, but it's been up there, and it is the first post if you go to 42gaming.com and just check it out. Agree, disagree, tell me what I could be doing better. I'd love to get my DPS better, but I think I've got it down pretty decently. Just tell me what you think. Second of all, for the announcement for 42gaming.com, we did have a couple responses from a poster by the name of Drevor, Drevor, and he was upset that we keep talking down the operative because he said that it is actually a very viable class and we just must not be playing with decent operatives. Well, I'll be honest with you, I hadn't seen an operative do DPS in a PvE since like 2 or 1.2. So, you're right. We weren't thinking. So I had the pleasure to run with one of our operatives from our guild, and he goes by the name of Sinful, and he pulled some pretty darn good DPS. He's not keeping up with like a Pyro Merc or anything like that, but he's definitely pulling enough DPS for me to say that viable. Because not only that, he can disappear and get a res without if it is viable, which we ended up killing one of the bots. I went down, he ended up getting me up. So maybe because he's not pulling, he wasn't too far behind me, but because maybe he's not pulling my DPS, the fact that he could res me and get me back up was very helpful to the group. And we talked about this before. The operations that we're in now are very not DPS. Like it's just not a DPS race at all. It's about living. So I mean, what did you think? I mean, Big, you've run with him, and Drevor basically said he goes right now that it's sniper, marauder, mercenary, operative, sork, vanguard, juggernaut, assassin is what he's saying is the class from top to bottom. I would actually say marauder, mercenary are right there next to each other. I wouldn't say marauders over mercenary at the moment.
Yeah, I actually got a chance to raid with the same operative as well, and in hard mode Dread Palace, and no, he was doing some decent numbers. I mean, part of it is gear as well too. We got to get his gear up a little better, so he'll probably help him pull some better numbers. But remember our interview with the Reddit moderator, Akiwu, he said he's doing some good DPS and good numbers on operatives. So yeah, we'll have to go off to retract that. I mean, I think operatives are doing some good, and especially in the right hands. It's with any melee class, you got to be a little extra aware of puddles and not standing and stuff. So it probably does take some good awareness on a an operative or someone that's used to being at range and stuff like that. Basically, since it is a melee class. So,
and anybody who's ever run with Sinful know he's a loudmouth. Like, I mean, I'm not just gonna hide it. If you're watching Sinful, like you love to say when you're keeping up with us. So, Maisa, you had the pleasure of running with him. I mean, what do you see as the downfall of the opera at the moment? You had mentioned that the parse keeps resetting, so you never know if he's actually keeping up or not.
You're never going to know if a lethality operative who uses his vanish as a burst cooldown is pulling optimal DPS in a raid, for he resets every 2 minutes.
Right.
So you can take an average of those resets, but until he's able to continually stay in combat and see or just do a whole boss fight without vanishing, you're really never going to know if he's able to keep up with a pyro, mercenary, a sniper, a marauder.
Well, I mean, you can go back and edit the logs, and I think and join those two together technically to to get the actual DPS. Because I mean, if that's part of their burst and their rotation, I mean, it's something that they need to do to get their DPS up. I understand. It's just the way the.
I think you would just take the overall DPS. Like this is the fight. This is the 3 overall DPSs that I have. Doesn't match the overall DPS for a marauder or a mercenary.
Mm-hmm. And so another big thing we noticed is when we had multiple targets, and this is brought up in the same exact problem with an anti-marauder versus a carnage marauder, is that when you have to switch targets consistently on an anti-marauder, you tend to lose DPS, mainly for the fact you're all consistently refreshing dots, or you don't have dots for that particular target.
Or a pyro merc versus an arsenal.
Yeah, and it's the same exact thing with a lethality. Yeah, he has so many dots. It's just every time he had to switch. When we had him on ads on the first boss of Dread Palace, his DPS suffered horribly because he'd get a full dot rotation and the mob would die. So we'd have to go and start it all over again.
Yeah, I feel you on that. I don't have as many as him, but I understand when having to switch from add to add to add to boss, the difficulty. So I've just been lately saying I'm on the boss. So
Lazy.
no, you lazy. Yeah, I'll take it.
Another thing, because while we're on the topic of DPS, I want to bring up Talon said something, and this just brushed past Rondo at Ignition. I can't believe they let it fly, and I kind of
I
starting to
let it
disagree
fly.
with him now. Yeah, it's that pure DPS classes pull more because they're pure DPS classes. What's your opinion, Rondo?
Oh man, I can't believe. See, this is this is something that me and Maisa talked about after the last podcast. That I let this one fly from Talons last week because because we were running out of time. So I was just like, yeah, you're right. I think I even said, did I say you're right, Maisa? I rewatched it, but
Yeah,
I
he
didn't.
said you just agree to disagree, basically, just to get it over with.
Yeah.
When I'm actually starting to think about it, it's starting to. You do have a good point because right now it's kind of like broken up into two sections. You have your three top DPS, the Marauder, the Mercenary, and the Sniper is in one tier, and then there's the Juggernaut, the Operative, which I know once Vicidius or Sinful gets gear, he'll probably bump himself back up because we haven't actually seen an Operative like
Fully
that.
geared.
But then there's like the Juggernaut, the Sork, the Assassin, and am I missing one? I know I'm missing one. The Power Tech. Um, and you're right. Every class should have a tree that pulls around the same amount of DPS. But then again, you're never probably gonna have that, or at least on a dummy, right?
I think what you're trying to get at is in other games there are classes that have, say, a tank, a healer, and a DPS. Then two healing portions of the tree and a DPS portion of the tree, or a tank and two DPS. My point is that if you're gonna make trees where just because it has a healing tree, why would you make the other two portions of his tree unviable to play? That seems like you were just unwilling to do the work, and I'm not trying to get negative here, but I just don't like some of the things that they say. So this isn't negative. This is just facts. If say other games were to say, you have two healing, so your DPS is there just because we didn't want to finish
Phil,
off. We didn't want to fill it. We were gonna give you a third healing thing, but we just thought maybe you should have an unviable DPS that nobody will ever play.
Well, and they're still working on the class balances again. They're trying to do their whole class reps again. I think coming in January or February or
Well,
something.
you know what? Here's what I say to that. And this is what I wanted you to talk about earlier, then we totally forgot about, is that the class rep system isn't working. It's not working, guys. They didn't even listen to them, really. I mean, they did a few things, but they didn't listen to them. So right now, this podcast is going to do the Joe Schmo wants to talk about your class, and we're going to name it something else. But for right now, it's the Joe Schmo interview about your class. All right. So we're going to
name
give you the opportunity to come onto this podcast and say what they need to do in a very positive light. If you get negative, we just won't put it up. Okay, in a very positive light, what can BioWare do to help your class, and why you should have been your class rep?
For example, okay, granted, they took. I guess they're really focusing because granted, Marauder at the time was, I'm pretty sure, one of the more popular classes. Everyone has one, I guess, but they kind of listened to us in the with the anti-tree increasing our cooldown of our annihilation buff and our geoform stacks. But other than that, the other two questions were kind of just brushed off. But I
But that's
understand
what we're
for
saying
yours,
with this cast.
your was ignored basically.
Yeah,
It's like same question.
So
Please
why
fix them.
don't let's bring people on, and you know what? I'll bring multiple people on for multiple classes because this is, and we'll give you what 5-10 minutes, big, to just
Yeah,
talk,
yeah,
and it's on
something
you.
like
Tell
that. We
us
can
what you
work it
want,
out.
and then we'll keep you on to talk about other stuff because that's what we like to do, and we'll hear your thought process and other stuff. So throw a comment in, tell us if you're interested, and we'll get back to you. That sound about right, big?
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to work out some details. Maybe make sure that they're actually, got a level 55 and doing some end game content, and actually have some experience to be able to back what they say with
Right.
their class. Maybe some posts of some logs or something will be helpful. So yeah, we'll figure out the exact details, and yeah, but feel free. I mean, if you think you know your class well, feel free to yeah, to comment over there, and well, yeah, we'll
On
definitely work out something.
42gaming.com. Go ahead and comment on 42gaming.com underneath this podcast and in the future podcast when you're interested, um, so that we can get a hold of you. Do you have anything?
So
I
good.
have one more that I want to talk about. What about
Well,
you?
there was a little bit of a Bioware news. Um, It was it was a happy anniversary, or 2-year anniversary from the community team, but a little bit of sad news in there. Amber over in the development team is going to be, she's still going to be with BioWare and helping us out with the SOTOR game, but she's no longer going to be at the on the community team. So yeah, we bid her farewell on that and wish her luck in her new endeavors. Of I think she's going into development and that portion of it.
Well, I'm glad to see they're pulling more people into development. To me, I think that's good. Let's get some more
Yeah, she's
maybe they'll be listening and we'll start to hear something about our player created GSF content soon. I would love to. I mean, I'm excited for it if it happens.
Wall of crazy, make it happen.
Yep, Wall of Crazy. Put it up. Well,
2014.
my last piece of information is the guy said he's potentially returning to the game, and he wants to know how casual friendly this game is. Um, Now, since I haven't been a casual player recently, I would say that this game is very easy for me to get gear. But I have a raid group every week, and I go and we raid twice a week. I've recently left the core raiding group, and I've started a secondary group where I'm getting people gear. So if you're in my guild, it's really easy to get gear because I raid with you on Saturdays and Mondays, and I hand you gear, right? But a casual person who's just coming into this game, what do you think, Big? Is it as casual friendly, like with the GSF coming out, or what?
Well, I mean, as far as gearing for PvE, well, I mean, there's PvE and PvP. For PvP, it's essentially you just do the matches and save up the comms and gear.
Cat!
So, you can get yourself a decent
There's a
set of
cat behind you,
geared
Big.
out. Oh no, it's attacking the cat.
I'm just playing. Sorry. All right, what were you saying?
And for the PvE section of it, I mean, you can do the Oricron starter mission and get a group there to get some decent purple to 66 gear. You can get a lot of the blue levels. I mean, it's just all depending on what you want to do. If you're just going to be doing some story modes like TFB and Scum and Villainy, I mean, 66 gear is going to be good enough to get you through the story mode. So and flashpoints. So if you want to be casual, I mean, and even doing the dailies gets you the basic comms, which you can trade for the 69 gear, get implants and earpiece and relics. So in just a matter of a couple of weeks or a month, you can get yourself pretty decent set of gear to maybe even start doing some hard mode TFB and that type of stuff. So I think it
Well,
is pretty
Maisa,
casual.
you pug a little bit more than we do, right? How does the community react to players who don't always know what they're talking about?
It honestly probably depends on, I guess, the server and overall guild attitude of
Yeah.
like the singular player. The community is very understanding of new players, from what I can, at least I am, to a certain point. When they, I guess you could start to say, I don't know.
Wipe the raid or repeatedly
Well, no, I
raid.
mean, wipe's understandable when you're learning new content, especially, if it's old content, I've seen it a million times, but it's just like if you're coming in, this is your first time and you want to enjoy lore and actually sit back and watch the fight. It's like, yeah, sure, do that, but just don't, I guess you could say, be annoying in a raid.
I think the best thing that you can do is ask questions before you wipe. If you really don't know the fight and you don't ask questions, that upsets me more than anything else. I will teach you all day how to do a fight, but if you are unwilling to ask questions, I can't teach you, and then you're wasting my time.
Look at
Yeah, I mean, that's the very important thing. Make sure you let people know it's your first time doing certain content. You'll be surprised how willing they will be able to help you out as long as you let them know ahead of time. And
look at the Tuesday raid. I mean, we had people in there who are, well, I mean, free to play, and they're basically the definition of casual, and they'd never done the fight before, and we sat there, and I don't know what the terms you used for it, but we sat there and we went through the third boss of TFB, the second phase on hard mode, went through it and practiced it for about 15 minutes until the new people figured it out.
Yeah.
And then we killed the boss.
Well, I think
And
that what we're coming up with is this is a very casual friendly game. With the potential for people who are new coming back to figure out the stuff, the how to do a fight. There's multiple resources to actually figure out where how to actually do a fight before you get into a fight. And I recommend that even if you are casual, just to take a quick look on YouTube on what the fight looks like. That means a lot to people who, well, say are raid leading, and then you come in and say, "Look, I've never done the fight, but I've seen it on YouTube." I mean, that shows a lot for us. Other than that, ask
well, what about the
questions.
flip side? Do you think this game is a hardcore friendly for the hardcore creators?
Oh, on nightmare mode, yeah. I mean, I think you're talking about less than 10% down the last PvE content that went nightmare. The only one I did a full clear on TFB, and that's when I was raiding with Suckafish. You're talking about a very small portion of the community that is actually downing PvE content when it goes nightmare mode. Very, very small. I think it has
uh,
I think it has a very, very high hardcore feel to it once you get into, because you can't make mistakes in nightmare mode. It's zero mistake friendly. What were you gonna say, Maisa?
I was basically gonna say the same exact thing. Just zero mistakes, and if you want to be in that guild or in that group that raids 4 to 5 days a week, once nightmare content comes out, it's like we're gonna clear this week, and we're gonna raid for as long as possible. It has those group of people,
Yeah.
and they're all over the place.
You need to be able to put more than 2 hours a night onto a boss fight, and you need to be able to raid more than twice a week. And then yeah, it has the ability to be a very hardcore friendly game. Not many people are willing to do that, and that's where they're not downing the content. And I would say to those people, you'd have more fun doing hard mode content. Other than that, I think that go ahead and comment. We're going to put up a post on the main forums where we're talking about things that we think that would be nice to see, and that's going to include the player created content for GSF. Go ahead and comment on that. We'll post a link with the video. Enjoy your week and think about it. Comment. Tell us even more that you think that could be done with this player created content sort of idea, or if you tell us you don't think it's viable and you think we're idiots and we're smoking meth or something. I don't know, which we're not, but maybe you think we are, or maybe we're taking shrooms and you think we're crazy. But I think it's a great idea. I think Big thinks it's a great idea, and I think maybe tonight we got Maisa on board. So if we can get 3 people on board, then maybe we can start a movement and get this to be a viable change.
Only 750,000 more to go, guys.
Let's
We
do it.
got this.
Let's do it.
And speaking of viable movements, did you know that with Amazon Prime, you can actually get free second-day shipping on most of your items that you order through Amazon?
Oh, you can?
Yes, you can. And on top of that, with Amazon Prime, they give you access to thousands of movies and videos that you can watch on almost any device. And it's free to try for 30 days. And you help support the show if you want to go out there, and we'll post it up in the show notes, or you can go to 42gaming.com/prime and get signed up that way. So
Just the
head on
trial
over there
helps
and
us,
help
right?
support the show.
Like literally, if you just
Yeah,
sign up for a trial, it helps the podcast, if I remember correctly, right?
It's
yeah, you get a free
fantastic
30-day
service.
trial on Oh yeah, I mean, and for all second day shipping. So yeah, you can try it out for 30 days, see if you like it, and it's $60 for a year. So you get, save all the money on shipping, and you get access to all the videos, the new TV shows that are out. They release those, newer movies, and even access to the older ones as well.
Dude,
And
talk about something that's
and when
not
you're
going to help out the podcast though, but if you're a guy like me who was late getting some Christmas gifts, I'm going to help you out real quick. Uh, it's pajamagrams. They got some sexy things for your wife. I'm just saying, I'm just throwing it out there, 2 day shipping, pay like $14, I'll get it to you by Christmas. It's I got my wife this hoodie footy thing. I think she'll wear it for Christmas. It'll be pretty cool. What were you saying?
pitches
No, I'm
are
just
good enough.
playing.
No.
So
And I want to hear.
unswordcore related. The thing is, and the monogram thing for $9, it says Princess Leia on it though. So I hope she won't be upset. But that's where I went with that.
Fanboy.
And then what
A
also
man
came
can
with that
dream.
is the
A
slave
man
Leia
can dream.
outfit. So she's gonna have the footy hoodie, and underneath it is a slave Leia outfit for later. So, anyways, I hope you guys all have a great week. Just remember, if it's red, it's dead. That means the pub guys get them on, especially on the Bastion. They've been making us look like a fool on Tatooine on Thursdays. That cool ass group.
Friday.
That yeah, what or is it Fridays? Yeah, the
Yeah.
all trooper group that
Legionnaire,
are
I
all
think.
yeah, they're called the Legionnaires. Super cool. The Bastion. Let's get out there and show them what's up. But remember, Reddit's dead, and enjoy your PVE fun. And we'll see you next week
Happy Life
on
Day to everyone.
yeah, Happy Life Day. And Maisa will not be here next week, but we will love and miss him. Good
I
night.
know.